military. There's some speculation that it might have been headed for Camp David. Some media, as I understand it, are reporting that the jet may have gone beyond this area into Cleveland airspace, then asked to be rerouted to Washington. And so maybe there was a target in Washington. We really don't know. There are also reports that there was a cell phone call from a lavatory on the airplane, and that the caller called 911 and said the plane had been hijacked. It wasn't a hoax. And then later said that there was a fire in the cockpit and that the call ended abruptly. Now, the FBI confirms that there was a 911 call that they're very interested in. They've seized some tapes, 911 tapes from a site in western Pennsylvania, but we can't confirm really the nature of that call.
That call came, you say, from a passenger?
Apparently, reportedly from a passenger. But again, the FBI isn't confirming anything. They're only saying they're aware of a 911 call, that tapes have been confiscated.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Noah.
NPR's John Itzty talking with us from central Pennsylvania.
As people across the country watched and heard news of today's events unfold, they called their neighbors and relatives, hoping no one they knew had been hurt, and trying to make sense of the incomprehensible. NPR's Lynn Neary reports.
The images took a moment to absorb. It was the World Trade Center, but what was happening to it? Why was smoke pouring out of it? How could two planes have hit it within such a short amount of time? Then, a sickening feeling as reality sunk in, and the terrible news kept coming. The Pentagon on fire, rumors that the White House had been struck, and the State Department. Government buildings all over Washington were being evacuated, and just outside, right in front of this building, the fear was palpable.
Get back!
Yes, get back!
Well, I think we'll take their advice. Let's get back.
A van without a driver was parked in the middle of the street. The police were checking for explosives and cordoning off the street, only adding to the confusion as office workers emptied out of nearby government buildings and tried to find a way to get home. Cindy Cheeks works for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
They told us to leave now, and we don't have anywhere to go. That's why I'm standing here looking stupid.
Where are you supposed to go?
Husband. Home, Maryland. I can't get home. It's no metros running. It's no buses running. Look at all the congestion out here.
What's your reaction to all this, Cindy?
I'm scared. I'm frightened, really. It's horrible.
By noon, most public transportation was running, and a strange calm replaced the panic. A young woman named Becky took a cigarette break and contemplated the empty streets as the last workers left the building she manages.
It's very surreal around here, I think, right now. People are in shock. It's almost like an eerie sort of quiet, like it's too hard to believe that this is really happening.
Bob Sauerwein remembers what it was like on April 19, 1995, when a huge bomb exploded in his hometown. Sauerwein runs a small cafeteria near where the Alfred P. Murrah building once stood in Oklahoma City.
I was here during the bombing when the memorial was down there, and this building here shook as well. So I can imagine what them people in New York are going through right now. I just, it just tears my heart out when things like this happen to our country.
At the Oklahoma City Memorial, Executive Director Carrie Watkins says the staff wanted to stay open all day, but few visitors came, and by afternoon she decided to close down for safety reasons. Just as they were 6 years ago, says Watkins, the reverberations from today's attack will be felt across the country.
It leaves people with a sense of uncertainty. It leaves people with a sense of pride for their country. And I think as Americans, we unite together and take a stand that we will not let terrorists defeat us. They'll hurt us. They'll break our hearts. They'll, hurt ourselves, but they're not going to defeat us as a country.
As stunning a blow as the Oklahoma City bombing was, today's attacks on the nation's capital and the country's financial center seem to have a more devastating effect on the national psyche. Deborah Margulies heard the news in Philadelphia.
The whole world looks to New York, and in, 18 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, they shut our country down. That I think is a little scary.
Brendan Olkus, a young DJ who works in a club in Philly, says his sense of the world will never be the same.
26 years old. I've lived pretty much my entire life in a relative state of peace.